Well, we'd like to welcome everybody to our virtual roundtable. Our next segment here is on outdoor ethics advocate reporting. And I'd like to welcome all of our outdoor ethics advocates. You folks are absolutely key to getting our program out there to our councils. And of course, you and your teams do so much work, and you're really vital to making all this happen and getting it out to our scouting community. You're probably aware of your important responsibilities if you've been through any of the training or read your job description. There are several of these. There's recruiting, there's teaching, there's building your committee, there's promoting, and the one we're focusing on tonight is part of the reporting responsibility. And so we're going to discuss some ways that we can support you in doing your important job as an outdoor ethics advocate. And again, many of you are probably familiar with much of this, but bear with us. And if you have questions, let's get them addressed. Just some quick terminology here. We throw these things around thinking everybody knows them, but I'm just going to review it here. When I say OE, we're talking about outdoor ethics. When we say OEA, that's an outdoor ethics advocate, and that comes in a couple flavors here. The council outdoor ethics advocate, the area outdoor ethics advocate. Some councils have district outdoor ethics advocates. And we have the region folks, but they're not advocates, they're coordinators. So that's an ROEC. You will also see, I don't use this term a lot, but it's in some of our documents. OEE is an outdoor ethics educator. And so that could be anybody on your committee who is teaching outdoor ethics to scouting community. ME is short for our Leave No Trace Master Educators. MTT is short for Master Tread Trainers. Here's our agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about your responsibilities, a little more detail, then give you a little bit of background on our contacts database, and then into the reporting and talk about your advocate tools that help you with that reporting task. We'll touch on our annual reporting. Key part of this is verifying your council outdoor ethics contacts and how you go about that. And an optional tool that we've made available if you would choose to use it, which is our event reporting tool as part of your outdoor ethics advocate toolbox here. And we'll have time at the end, hopefully, for some questions and answers. So a reminder, the reporting responsibility is spelled out in the document. Your job description is to collect information about the OE programs conducted in your council and report them to the National OE Subcommittee annually. So that's our annual reporting. I assume many of you have already been involved in that in the past. It's a key piece of information. There's a couple other ones here that are part of your reporting responsibilities, but we're not going to talk about them tonight. The last one is to ensure that the listing of the Leave No Trace Master Educators, etc., on the Outdoor Ethics BSA.org contacts website is up to date for the folks in your council. So that's spelled out as one of your responsibilities. That was a quick review of your responsibilities. Your background is the next thing we'll talk about, and then some of the reporting tools. So this is if you were there for the last section, you saw some of this, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but our outdoor ethics contacts, as you find on those outdoor ethics contacts, pages per council, are in our secure online database. It's maintained by the Outdoor Ethics Committee. It's not tied to the BSA membership, so it's up to all of us to keep that up to date. Key piece of the information that's in there is the people. Those contacts, the key people that somebody might want to use as a resource in their council to help them learn and do a good job of promoting outdoor ethics. This database supports, scouters anywhere or even people in the community finding key outdoor ethics contacts in their own council or in nearby councils if there aren't contacts in their council. And of course, it supports our OE subcommittee communicating with all of our community and sending them news and updates. And then the one that we didn't talk about last time, but is there for you, this database also supports you getting access to your contacts, your annual reports, and your events. you actually have more access to more information than we make available to the general public. The challenge of keeping it up to date, we depend on our e-community for the updates. Individuals can update their own information. They can let us know about they can update their own contact information. If there's other changes, they let us know at updates at Outdoor Ethics BSA. We also will do a bulk email to our unverified contacts on a periodic basis, and I'll maybe touch on that a little bit more. So the details of how to update contacts and what kind of information is at the bottom of all of those pages you would bring up to look up your contacts in your individual council. But our council outdoor ethics advocates and our area folks and region folks have a really special role in terms of helping keep this information up to date. A little bit of elaboration here. We have public information, so the per council contacts. People can see their name, their council, their city, and their position. You know, if they're the advocate, if they're a master educator. And if they've given us permission, we'll also list email and phone. If we don't have permission, you'll see the stars on that listing. But we also have confidential information that's limited access. The public does not have access to this. It's on a need-to-know basis. Additional information, such as the non-public emails. And another key one is our status. Is this person still a member? We have them in the database. Are they still active? And that's the key piece that we need your help to maintain and to check on. You also have access to your annual reports and your event reporting if you're using it. And the way you get access through that is through your, what we call these outdoor ethics advocate tools. So you have access to that additional information. And of course, we have other private information on the website too that's even further restricted. So reporting, your advocate tools here. Annual OE report. So Council Outdoor Ethics Advocates are asked to report at the end of each calendar year. We try to make that report form available in November and ask them to submit it by late January. So that form is available on the website. You're encouraged to start working on your annual reports. This is key information. The subcommittee uses this information to sort of assess how we're doing. What's the progress? What's the status of outdoor ethics? You know, in the BSA, and our Leave No Trace is another key aspect of that we're trying to get more information on. Which councils are doing well, where more support is needed, kind of the overall progress and trends. We have at our annual get together, we print out data and we show a lot of trends in terms of our numbers and gives us some useful information going forward. Another key piece then is that the reason we ask for this in January is that a summary of that annual reporting is pulled together by our representative, who is the head of our subcommittee, to report that to the Leave No Trace Center at their annual meeting of providers, okay? And it is also included in a report to the BSA Outdoor Program Committee, which we report to. So this is useful information, and we thank you for taking the time to report all that progress in your council. Or in the case of 2020, let us know that there maybe wasn't quite as much progress, and we'll all look forward to 2021 and figuring out ways to do this going forward and keep track of what's going on in 2021. So a little bit about what's the annual report. I could bring it up, but there's been a little change in the last several years. It looks about the same if you've done it before. You can go see the form. It's there. It has all the questions. I could jump over to it right now. We'll take a quick look here. This is what it looks like for this year. Lists our deadline. Note from our chair at the top, thanking you for all the great work you're doing and encouraging you to keep up the great work. First thing you do is you pick a council, and if your council is already reported, that's blocked out. So a couple councils have reported. We only get one report per council. So if there's any contention within your council about who should do it, let's work that out so that make sure we get the right one. Put the advocate's name and email, or in the case of some councils that don't have advocates, they have other people that are interested and involved, and they can go ahead and submit this too. We ask for the number of districts, a little bit about the activity. Do you have motorized activities? How many active trainers and masters do you have? What's been going on? Named Untraced trainer courses. We have added a couple topics for this year. We've split out the virtual trainer courses from the in-person courses as part of our reporting. We have also added information on, have you done any outdoor ethics guide or advisor trainings? That's a new one for this year. The rest of this should look pretty straightforward in terms of the information we ask for. The trick is, as an outdoor ethics advocate, how the heck do I gather all of this information for my council? If you're the only one doing anything, it's probably pretty easy for you to keep track of. Maybe not be quite so easy at the end of the year to remember everything that was going on. But if you have lots of people helping you teach and stuff, getting them to submit their information is certainly one of the recognized challenges. And one of the next tools we'll be talking about is something that can help you with that. So back to this one. Okay. When you're filling out your annual report, this is no longer a once and done thing. You actually have the ability to go put the information in that you know, and then go back later to the form and add more data as you get it. So we encourage you to not wait till the last minute to put in what you know, and then give us more details as you have it. One of the new capabilities is that our area advocates, our region folks, and the OE subcommittee can see what's been submitted and who's submitted, and they can follow up with the councils that haven't yet submitted their forms and encourage them to do so. How to gather that data. Keep your records and poll your master educators and trainers is the key answer to that. And I know I've had questions in the past on that. How do you get them to respond? And that's the age-old question. And one recommendation there is don't wait till the end of the year to get the data. So, and the next thing we'll talk about, there's a tool that can help you with that. So, any questions on the annual report? Okay.
Mark?
Yes.
Mark, did you mention that they can go back in and add to their annual report if they get some more information later?
Yeah, that was the second bullet item on this slide. Thank you.
Mark, I have a quick question. With the number of virtual courses that we're offering, do you want to know how many were within our council and how many are out of our council, or do you just want the base number of how many people we had go through the trainer or the outdoor ethics guide training?
I think what we've done in the past on that is keep it simple. The ones that you've done, if you know that somebody from your council went to another council's course, you don't get to count them because they already are going to count them. So it's the trainings that you conducted. How many participants did you have? Is what we're looking for.
All right. What about if we're going between councils? So like in our example, we have a couple of MEs from Minnesota. I'm from South Dakota. So we're in two different councils. Do you want it to do us by which way registration went, or do you want us to both count them?
I don't care how you divide it up. Normally when we're not doing virtual trainings, it's easy. It's which council is the official host of this training is the one that would report it. But I can see that would be interesting if you're doing virtual trainings. Yeah, figure out who's going to count them. Don't double count, and make sure they get counted.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right. Jumping then into the Outdoor Ethics Advocate tools and talk a little bit about the functions of these tools. So One of the first things that we have is you have access to the contact info for your master educators, master trade trainers. And key thing that we are asking you to do is to verify the people on your list. And I'll get into that in the details in a second here. That's a key piece that we have not had, up until about a little over a year ago. But it's a key piece of information we needed, because we had been accumulating these lists since 2005, and we were not keeping track of who, well, if people told us, yes, but we weren't making a concerted effort to figure out who was still involved and who was still active. And that's a key piece that we're asking you to verify annually. You have access to your annual reports through here. So when you submit your annual report, you'll get a link. And if you remember that link, you can get back to it. And if you forget the link, you can always go into your OEA tools and get back to that report and add more information or correct information, and even go see what you've reported for the last year or so. You get summaries of your event reporting. That's part of what we'll talk about in a little bit more. That's an optional thing you can do. And the event registration is another optional one. It's pretty brand new, and I have had a volunteer that wants to try it. I've been using it. We have another council that is interested in trying it, so we'll see how that goes, and then make it available to others if depending on how that works out. For area advocates, you have access to the same kind of information for your contacts, and you can get an overview of how the annual reporting is going for all of your councils in your area. So how do you get access to these? You go to outdoorethicsbsa.org/OEA Tools, and there's some description on there about what it's all about, but there's a little form there that to get your key, you basically enter your email in the form there, hit the submit, and the program will check to make sure that you are the person that's listed as the advocate, or it will see what you are an advocate for anyway, and you'll get an email back with your link that then can get you to your OEA Tools page. And that link doesn't change. Once you've got it, you've got it. So go ahead and bookmark your page, and then you can easily get to your OEA Tools page. And if you forget it, don't bookmark it. You can always go back and enter email again and have it sent again. So once you get in with your key, your page would look something like this for a council outdoor ethics advocate. Is that coming through? Is that readable? I don't know how the resolution is on these things. There's several sections here. One is your contacts. You can get the list of your contacts. There's a sub item here if you want to see all the contacts, including the ones that have been deleted. You can see that. And just a reminder about the different kinds of information and how they get updated. There's a link to that page too. You can get access to your annual reports that you've submitted for 2018, 2019, and 2020. You can get to your reporting if you have opted into that, and the registration stuff would be here too. If you want more information about these tools, this was a presentation we had on the tools that actually had a lot of the same slides as what you're seeing now. So that's your council tools. Let's go jump into which one here first? The contacts. So this is where we click on the list contacts, see your contacts. You get a page that looks like this. This is going to be the listing of all of the folks in our database that are in your council. So the advocate, the master educators, the master trade trainers are there, even though we're not listing them on that contacts page. This listing may include non-public emails and phones. So anything that's shown in red here is information that we have in the database, but that is not listed on the page. So in my case, I have another cell phone, and it's not listed. But these are the ones in black are the ones that are listed publicly. So we ask you to maintain the confidentiality of this information since you have access to it, and don't spread that around. And that's why we blurred them out on these slides, so we're not exposing that confidential information. I'll blow this up a little to talk about this more. That's kind of the key things on there. in terms of verifying your contacts, which is one of the key things we ask you to do. Oops, sorry, back here, too far. We depend on you to keep this up to date. So we ask you to contact your people at least once a year, help us verify their status. If they are a current BSA member and still want to be listed as one of your council's OE contacts, then you can verify them. You click the verify button next to them, and it's done. They're marked, okay? We also ask you, if they don't have any public information, like Pete here, if he had just private information, we would ask them if they have information that, contact information that we can list. Some people choose to, and some people choose not to. So if they are not a member, or they do not want to be listed, then we go to this other status button, the update status button, okay? And that looks like, that'll bring up a page that looks like this. So if I click that update status button next to my name, these are the different statuses that you can enter. So we would like a little resolution on why. So if they're no longer a member, just click the remove not member. That lets us know that this person's no longer BSA member. If you find out, if you talk to them actually, and they say, oh yeah, I'm still active, but I moved to Arizona, okay? You can change their status. First of all, if they are active, go ahead and verify them, and then go move them, because once you move them, then you won't be able to verify them. But so if you know where they moved, you can click, this is a drop down to select the council they're in now, and click moved here. If all you found out is that they moved out of council and you don't know where it is, you can click the unknown. If they have said, no, I'm no longer involved, remove me, you can do that. If you found out that they have died, there's that option. Or if you try and can't get a hold of this person, they won't reply to you. Apparently they're not interested in being part of your OE community, and you can remove them as unresponsive. We encourage you to do a good job of trying to find out about them first before we just remove them, but sometimes that's what you got to do. They're no longer responsive. Okay, any questions on that so far? Okay, again, we'll go back to one thing here. We had a huge push, and I know a lot of people helped, and a lot of people went in and checked out their folks and marked them as verified, and that was all great. But if that's these things, if that was over a year, you'll see them show up like Gary does here. He was verified back in April of 2019, but since that's more than a year ago, it's showing up in red, and we ask you again, contact them, because we ask you to do that at least once a year. And if they're still valid, re-verify, and if not, again, go mark them as why they're no longer involved. Okay. Talk a little bit about the area advocates tools. So the council had a lot more things, but the area advocate has a couple key things. They can go view the annual report status summary for the past 2 years in terms of which councils have reported, and they can get at the list of contacts as well, but for all the councils in their area. So here's what those pages would look like. And again, same information, maintain the confidentiality. I've blurred them out here for confidentiality. They'll see the same list, but it will have all of their councils. So in my case, that's Denver Area Council, Greater Wyoming, my council, etc. If they do the annual report status, they can, this is just a quick overview. They can see which councils have reported for this year. And if it was 2018, they can see who reported for 2018, and 2020 is showing up now on your page too. So you can see which ones have reported, which ones haven't, and follow up with the ones that haven't. Any questions on those advocate tools? Next one we will talk about is the event reporting tool. This one hopefully will make your job easier in terms of gathering the data you need for that annual reporting. Here's kind of a diagram of how this works. All the people in your counsel that you have helping you teach, promote, leave no trace, you have them go ahead and report that to you. And ideally, they'll do this, right after their events have happened, not waiting till the end of the year. They can enter the events. They can enter rosters in certain cases. They can import rosters in certain cases. So you have all those folks that are dumping this data into your event database, okay? Then your event database is hosted on our site, et cetera. And then you, as the Council Outdoor Ethics Advocate, have what we call admin access to that. You can see the summary of the things that have been reported. You can look at the details that have been reported. You can generate training attendance reports from those. You can, if it's a trainer course, you can actually submit, and if the roster for that trainer course has been entered here, you can actually submit that trainer course to the center without going and refilling out all that information on their form. And it also then gives you a data summary that you can copy directly to your annual report. Or we don't actually copy it directly, we let you do that because you may have to fudge the numbers knowing that you're missing some things in the database. But anyway, that's things you can do. We'll first look at how it works for the folks over here. Basically, you have all your folks report their events on your council's form. So when we set this up for you, you'll have a form that has a banner at the top that looks like your council. It says your council name here, but other than that, it will have this same form. And certainly you can be doing this now for 2020, or you can even go back if you want to, but have them do it on an ongoing basis for the future. And so let's do this more info. This tells you more about how it works. We set this page up. How do you sign up? What are the advantages? You make it easy for them to report this stuff in a consistent way, and you have a nice summary of the key advantages there. You can try it out. We have a demo council set up that anybody can go play with. There's a reporting page. So this is what the reporting page looks like. There's the way they fill it out. There are particular categories. So maybe this was done in conjunction with a University of Scouting. You could put that there. What did you offer? Was it a 101 course? Was it a Leave No Trace trainer course, et cetera? So if it's a Leave No Trace trainer course, you'd put that in. The description of the categories are all down here at the bottom, okay? They'd enter all this information and do the submit the report. And that's all they have to do. Well, if it was a trainer course, then a form comes up that they'll enter the roster. Your admin page for this would look like this, okay? All the different events that happened. You can go look at details of the event. You could update it if there was additional information to be added to that. It essentially brings up that form that you just saw that was the basics about the event. And then for the ones that actually have rosters, and I will double check this. This roster somebody submitted looked way too real to me, so I went in and cleaned it up and made it dummy names so that scratched out any real information that was in here. But there's the view of the roster. If you want to generate if you want to edit the roster, it'll bring up the roster submission form. So they're in here. You can fix information if it wasn't right. Talk about how to upload the files here in a minute. You can generate your training reports. These are all strung together on one page now, but if you print this as a PDF, they'll come out as separate pages. In this case, this course had people from 3 different councils, so it generates 3 different training reports. One that you would send to National Capital Area, one that goes to Mason-Dixon, and one that goes to Marin Council, for instance. That's 3 different training reports that you could submit to the councils that had participants. And finally, the thing you'd get here is the center submission. So this basically fills out a form that is exactly like the center's form, has all that data filled out, and then you submit the button at the bottom, but we won't really submit this, and actually this is disabled for our demo because we don't want to be submitting all this dummy data to the center, but it fills it out for you, so you don't have to fill anything else out. I'd say that sure beats me having to retype all this information for submitting my trainer courses. Let's see, and then at the bottom you get the statistics. How many trainer courses are listed here? There were 4 of them for a total of 20 youth and 19 adults workshops. This is the information that would go directly into your annual report. And you can also look it down your list of instructors and see who's doing what, how many people were involved. And it doesn't tell you who's an ME and who's not, because we don't have that tied into that. But knowing that, you can figure out how many of your trainers and master educators are active. Go back to the PowerPoint here. So that's the demo if you want to play around with this before you sign up for it. There were the categories we talked about. I'll mention this roster entry is optional. You do not have to enter the roster. If you've entered a course that has reporting, so something that would get reported to the council, the form will pop up giving you the option to enter the roster, okay? And then if you've entered that roster, you can generate the training attendance reports and not have to do that separately, and you can do this trainer center submission. A new option that we have is the ability to import a spreadsheet instead of retyping stuff into this roster form. And that's been used by several of our councils for their virtual trainer courses. So makes it easy. You get a spreadsheet file. There's some specifications here for what that needs to look like so we know how to import it. But if you have some standard form that you listing that you get out of your council's registration system and it's different from what this is, let me know. I can add some different format specification or different format support to this as necessary. But that makes it easy so you don't have to retype any of that roster information. Or of course your option is if you don't have it in a spreadsheet, you can just enter them directly in the roster. Okay, switching over here, this was what I guess I did jump into some of this already. This is what you're having them do. We'll talk a little bit more about this. I'll also mention that your secondary contact, if your council has a secondary contact, they also have access. And if you are the COEA, but you're not the one that likes to mess with registration lists and all that stuff, and you like to delegate that to somebody who loves to fiddle with computers, we can set somebody else up for you that you delegate that to. How do you get to these things? Back on your OEA Tools webpage, here's the link that you would publicize to all of your folks and have them submit their report. Your page would list this. It would have your council's path in there instead of my council's path in there. And then how do you get to your admin page? That's that one. So on your admin page, again, the summary page for the Outdoor Ethics Advocate reported events. I didn't mention it before, but you can get this by year. So I've been using this reporting system since 2010. So I have information going way back. When you enter this, when somebody enters an event, they can enter it for any year. Hopefully they'll be entering stuff that's happening now or recently, but as things accumulate, then you'll have this sorted by year. And we saw the demo. Here's one with a few more examples. We actually looked at the one with more examples. And there's your training attendance report and that trainer course roster submission. So that event reporting is optional. The reason it's optional is that we do not want to be doing an end run around the outdoor ethics advocates. This is it's your council. You're the one that's responsible for it. We have tools for you to use if you want to use them, but we're not going to push them down anybody's throat. So if you would like to use these tools, let me know and we'll get you set up. Any questions on the event reporting? Okay.
There was one on, will the regular reporting form from the council work to put in?
Clarify that for me.
Well, okay, Pete it says, will the standard BSA course sign-up sheet work?
I don't know what a standard BSA course sign-up sheet is.
Can somebody, Pete, do you want to put more information?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's the 8.5 by 11, and it's the long way sheet that has the name, email address, position, troop. It's a standard BSA form. It wasn't developed by my council. It's one that everybody's been using for years. When you give a course, everybody signs up so you can keep track of who the participants.
Oh, yeah, like the thing.
It's been around for years.
If you have it in electronic form, I mean, it needs to be in a spreadsheet, basically. Not just something somebody handwritten. I don't have handwriting recognition or anything like that. So no, it needs to be an electronic form. So if you have a roster that you've gotten out of your registration system or something, but not no handwritten sheets, or I don't do fillable PDFs or anything like that. It has to be an XLS spreadsheet that we import for the roster.
That answered my question. Thank you.
There's also a question, how do you report someone that's not in scouting who takes a trainer course?
Okay, so good question. If you use these tools and you go ahead and put them on the roster, either through the import or by typing it into the roster, there's if you don't put a council with them, then we will assume they're not a BSA member. So they will not show up on a training attendance report that you get submitted because they're not going into the BSA's training database, but they will end up on that roster form that we submit to the center. So they would get submitted to the center if you're using these tools and use that roster.
Okay,
Does that answer it?
If we do this form to you, we still need to submit the one that goes to the center, don't we, for a trainer course?
That's what I'm saying. There's a button back there. I'll go find it here.
Okay.
That you hit that button, and what pops up is that form, that center's form, except it's a clone of it on my website that I filled out for you. But you hit the submit button at the bottom of that, and that will send it to the center.
Okay.
So
Good.
you don't have to fill it out. We fill it out from that roster information that you entered, and all you have to do is look it over to make sure that that looks right, and then hit the button submit, and it goes to the center.
Very good.
There's also a question on, do we need to validate their YPT status?
I think that's a function of the council's, well, let's see. Where are we on that? We're,
Well, we can do it, but
We don't have it in this report system though.
yeah, we
no,
don't.
I don't think so.
So
Yeah,
I'm looking for it here.
Yeah, this is something that's in influx here, and I think some councils are asking for that information on their registration, their YPT. We do have that information available. Well, sorry, we have the place to hold it in our database, but at this point, it's not something I'm asking for on this roster form.
Okay, wait a second. It says there's a new one.
Because I don't need it for generating the reports that we generate. And I'm trying to keep it simple and not ask you for a bunch of information that we don't have to use for these purposes.
Okay, Mark, this may be in the bottom of the form, but the question is, what information are you looking for in awareness course? Mine went anywhere from 1 hour to 5 hours.
Is this in terms of reporting the event, or?
I believe
Well, I
it's,
think in terms of, I think what Pete's talking about is what is an awareness course that gets reported.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So the definition of an awareness course, a Leave No Trace awareness workshop, is something that makes the center's definition of what an awareness workshop is, and that's in their awareness workshop guidelines. So at the bottom of this form, at the bottom of the submission form where we're listing these categories for you, we're also providing the links that you can go check out those standards. So if you're going to call it a trainer course, you better follow the course manual. A 101, you follow the course guide. So again, if you're you're unclear, we'll at least give you links to the references that define these things. Did that answer the question?
Actually, no, unfortunately, because what I'm looking for is if you're tracking the number of people, adults and kids that have taken the course. So if it's a trainer course, you know that's going to be multiplied by 16 hours. But if it's an awareness course, how do I communicate to you that I just spent the day teaching 6 kids a course? Because that comes down to hours. We've kind of discussed this in the past, and it's on me. I mean, I'm the one that's confused. I can
Okay.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying.
Let me just jump to the reporting here. There it is. So we are not, at this point, we're not gathering that resolution. We're asking, you know, how many courses did you do? You know, then if it met the standards, and how many adults participated, how many youth participated. So we're not asking, was this a 1 hour course or a 10-hour course? We're not gathering that data right now. So if you want to track that information, you'll have to track it outside of this, I guess.
Mark, I think that falls under the question, under the training below. Other OE training,
Oh, okay.
okay? I think that's what you're referring to.
So like University of Scouting, Commissioner College, you know, if you want to
One
elaborate
training.
that to get us the details here, so we have more information, you can explain that down here in the comments. So, and I encourage people to do that. So, you know, so other training that's a minimum of an hour. If you did leader trainings and you taught the you know, outdoor ethics aspects of the IOLS course, you know, that information would go in here. Again, it's hard to, there's so many different ways that we're involved, so many different kinds of trainings that we do. We at best can kind of get try to get a rough guess, give you some categories and get a rough guess of what's going on, and try to find some definition of that, and then, you know, feel free to elaborate. I've had people fill in some really interesting things that they did that kind of didn't fall into the other categories here. Or if community outreach is pretty broad, you can elaborate on what it was you did there. So,
Well, the reason for the question was we haven't done trainer courses down here, but we are heavy into awareness courses. And
okay.
we do them for the Girl Scouts, for Alabama hiking. I mean, it's just all over the place. And they run from, you know, from a simple scout meeting for an hour and a half to like Baloo training, or some with the Girl Scout one, it took 6 hours. It almost took all day. So there's no way to get credit for something of that magnitude. That was really my only question. So
Okay.
well, I understood what you said. I'm good.
Mark, there's another question from Heidi Groven. If we submit a trainer course roster through BSA, do certificates of completion still get issued from the center?
Yes, when you submit that, yes, when you hit that form to submit to the center, they don't know that it didn't come from their website. So you'll get their confirmation page, and you should get that whatever page it is, or I forget, it's a page or an email they send you that has the links to those completion certificates then that you get out to your participants. So it should be exactly as if you submitted it using their form.
Can I pipe in with a question?
Yes.
I teach awareness workshops at a local nature center, and a lot of times Boy Scouts show up. Should I report them? Even though it's not specifically a BSA event on BSA property?
Wouldn't that be community outreach down at the bottom?
Okay.
I think if you're conducting, you know, so awareness workshops are not something that goes onto somebody's training record. Leave No Trace 101 course would be something that would go on somebody's training record. So if you happen to be doing something that includes all the aspects of BSA Leave No Trace 101 and a scout happens to show up, you could certainly give them credit for that and submit that. But in general, it's you know, if they're clean separation, it's easier. But
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's get on with a couple more slides here, and we'll. Real quickly mention this event registration system. And again, this is something I've been using for quite a while, and I have somebody else interested, and it could be a futures if we decide to make this more widely available. But in this case, it looks a little bit similar. You have your people that want to take your training. They go in and register and pay, and the information goes in your event database, and then you as the admin have access to that registration information. They have a form here. I've sent them to this, and they can sign up for either of my upcoming courses. They go to a registration form that looks like this. They fill that out, goes into my database. Well, when they submit that, then they get this page that pops up that gives them the option to pay with PayPal now, or they can, you know, I can mail me a check. I mean, there's various ways to pay, but in this case, they have that option. And then you, as the admin, have access to the list of all your courses, and you can go click the list of the registrants to see that, and it looks something like this. You can see who's paid. You can go click on the name to get the detailed information from their registration. You have their emails right there to be able to contact them. And then there's buttons at the top here that let you, at the end of the course, mark them all as completed, generate, again, the training attendance report. And since this was a trainer course, this one also has the center trainer report generation that you can do from this registration system. So there's a little bit of overlap between this and the event reporting now. Again, these are the two things that would come out of that. So summary of your Council Outdoor Ethics Advocate tools. Any questions on that? I'll mention the event. Oh, that's what it was. The event registration. If we're doing that for you, it would sign up or show up there. So it's optional. Again, has to be requested. In summary, then, our advocate tools. You know, there's a lot of detail I kind of covered here. I hope even though we went through a lot of details, that this is not really complicated. My goal is to keep them, you know, as simple and easy to use as possible. And I encourage you to try out the tools, you know, go to that demo site, contact us if you have questions. Last thing I want is for somebody to get stuck and not be able to do what they want to do and get frustrated and, you know, waste time and stuff. So if you feel like you're getting stuck, let me know. We'll see what's going on here. If you have questions or suggestions or comments about what else we can do for advocate tools to help you, support you in getting your job done as an advocate, please let us know. Summary then, you know, your work as an advocate, outdoor ethics advocate, is very valuable to us. You know, you're making all that good stuff happen, but we again count on you for reporting. We need to know what you're doing, and we need your help with all those contacts. Our region folks really encourage you to use these tools. It will hopefully make your job easier, and it definitely will help make their job easier if you're using the tools. Any questions on any of this?
When you use the event tool for registration and so forth, that goes in through the council. It don't come through you, does it? The money and everything would go to the council.
Well, that's why most people are not using my registration tools. Is most councils have their own registration systems they want you to use, and so you would use their registration systems, not mine. If you happen to have a council that doesn't have a registration system for you to use and is okay with you registering people through some other system, this might be an option for you.
So if we use yours, then the money would come through that, and then we'd have to get it to the council then, right?
Well, again, in my council, you know, they say, okay, you're running these trainings, you're buying all the food, you're doing everything.
Oh, okay.
they let me gather the money into my PayPal account, and then I pay the council their fee for us using the camp, and it's a pretty small
Okay.
fee. So
Okay.
again, if most councils, want to have control of most of the money, but in my case, they let me run my trainer courses. So
Yeah.
keeps it
Yeah.
easy for them.
Ours, it's kind of easier just to let the council take care of it and turn the receipts into.
Yep, there's that too.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay,
There-
well, thank
there
you
is
for.
a-
Oh, there more chat? I'm not getting the chat to come up here.
Well, there's a question on a brief explanation of the changes that'll happen to regions and areas, and I don't think we have enough information on that yet. The only thing that is a change that's coming that Mark did already talk about is the short-term camp administrator. That's part of the NCS and the standards process. So we will have to get learned in that, so to speak, because we do have overnights and our master educators do have treks. So we will be bringing more things to that story.
Yeah, this is John Eliadis from Muncie. You will need to have either somebody trained in your committee, or there's supposed to be, in theory, people trained for each district, but this is a long time process and there aren't that many courses being offered. Each council eventually is going to be a trainer for this short-term camp administrator, but that's going to take time. Anything that's done by a district is considered done by the council and therefore must have an administrator, which means coordination and inspection of the facilities and all kinds of other stuff, unfortunately or fortunately.
Yep, you'll need to work with your councils on that for your future courses that are using the council, resources that are overnights, things like that. So I'm looking forward to January where we'll hear more about that. I'm sure that a future virtual roundtable topic, once it's all figured out, will be the what's replacing our territories and the new territories instead of regions and areas. So sounds like a great topic for a virtual roundtable once we know more.
Mark, Mr. Hammer, this is John Elias from Muncie. I took the course, so I have some material that's easily reproducible and give you a capsule summary if you guys are interested. Obviously, you don't want to go through a 9-hour course.
Some of us already have.
Oh, great. And another masochist.
Yeah, Paula's the one coordinating these right now, working with the other region folks. And so I think she has ideas for how that January things are going to work in terms of, trying to get it from the horse's mouth, maybe some of the information you guys have already seen. So we'll look forward to that. If there are no further questions, I guess, again, I can't get the chat to come up here for some reason.
Let me just say one more thing. There is a Council Outdoor Ethics Advocate course given by modules that's in the beta stage right now. We have one course going on and we're up to the 3rd module coming up. So be watching for that, and that can be done virtually. I think we got most of it.
I probably got to get up. I had to get out of the full screen.
I
Those
answered
the modules you were talking about, where will they pop up, on the website or on Facebook, or where?
They will probably be on our website. The first one was pretty much, we had a course in Western Region that was with Wood Badge CDC. And so we just used that as the template to start the module process. So it's about 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours a module. There's about 5. It depends, because if there's a lot of questions, we may have 6, but it's like I said, and what Mark just did is a big part of one of the modules, because knowing how to use these tools is really important.
Again, thanks for coming. I see I've already gotten some requests for setting up councils for the event reporting, and a couple other requests coming in. So a couple of people have joined, or whatever it is you do on YouTube. So some people are following our YouTube channel now too as a result of this.
Awesome.
All right, thanks everybody. Look forward to seeing you sometime soon.